In October 2025, a motion-triggered camera at Chester Castle recorded a pale, hooded figure standing at the medieval gatehouse. No face, no features, just a shape that shouldn't have been there. The security guard drove out to investigate. His dog refused to leave the vehicle, and that was just the beginning. English Heritage manages over 400 historic sites across England: castles, abbeys, ruins, places soaked in centuries of human drama. They run security systems at many of them: motion sensors, night cameras, the kind of surveillance that's supposed to catch trespassers and vandals. What it's been catching instead has quietly become something that nobody in an official capacity seems to know how to talk about. Because Chester wasn't a one-off. In the months that followed, similar reports started surfacing from other English heritage properties. A disembodied hand, just a hand, pressing flat against a window at Bolsover Castle in Derbyshire. No body attached, no explanation for how it got there or where it went. Then at Goodrich Castle in Herefordshire, figures described as soldiers, in period dress, appearing at the edge of the tree line, walking calmly into the forest, and simply not coming out the other side. And then there's the footage from Kenilworth Castle, an empty room, a child's ball, bouncing, nobody in frame, not rolling, bouncing. Now here's the thing I want you to hold on to while we go through this, because we'll come back to it. Every single one of these incidents, as strange as they are on their own, shares one specific detail that the cameras picked up, which English Heritage has not addressed publicly, and that detail might be the most unsettling part of all of this. We'll get there. Let's start with Chester. Chester Castle has been occupied in some form since the Norman conquest. That's roughly 950 years of continuous human history on that ground. The current structure includes parts dating to the 12th century. It sits near the River Dee, which itself has a long folklore tradition in the region. The October 2025 footage was captured around 2:40 in the morning. The figure appeared at the gatehouse arch, stationary, for approximately 40 seconds. It didn't move toward the camera. It didn't move away. It just stood there. Then it wasn't there. The guard on duty that night, whose account was reported by local journalist Sarah Melling in the Cheshire Live online publication, said that his German Shepherd, a dog he'd worked with for 6 years, began whimpering the moment they pulled into the approach road. The dog would not exit the vehicle for any instruction. The guard did his sweep alone. He found nothing. Now let me ask you something. Motion cameras are calibrated to ignore small things: moths, birds, blowing debris. They're set to detect human-scale movement. Whatever triggered that sensor was approximately the size of a person, so either something person-sized was standing at that arch,
or the system malfunctioned. Which raises the question, why are malfunctions of this very specific kind happening at multiple sites, in multiple counties, across a 12-month window? Bolsover Castle in Derbyshire is where things start getting stranger in a different direction. Bolsover is a 17th century building, but sits on the ruins of a much older Norman fortification. The hand at the window appeared in footage captured during a routine after-hours check in January 2025. The window in question is on the second floor of the Little Castle, a part of the building not accessible to the public after hours and sealed at the time of recording. The hand is pale, the fingers are spread flat, it's pressed against the glass from the inside. It's there for 11 seconds and then withdraws slowly from the bottom of the frame upward, as though someone crouched below the window ledge. Except when staff checked, nobody was inside and no entry had been made. Here's the pattern interrupt that I think matters. English Heritage, to their credit, didn't immediately dismiss or delete this footage. They logged it. They conducted a structural review of the window for reflective artifacts. They found none. And then, officially, they said nothing further. No press release, no explanation. The footage exists in their internal review logs and was described to investigative journalist Tom Wheatley in an interview published by Fortean Times in March 2025. It has not been publicly released. That's the detail I told you we'd come back to. The unifying thread across Chester, Bolsover, Goodrich, and Kenilworth isn't just that strange things appeared on camera. It's that in every case, the footage was logged internally, reviewed, found to have no conventional explanation, and then quietly filed. No leak, no official comment, no denial either, just silence. Now I want to give you the skeptical scaffolding here, because it deserves space. Pareidolia, our tendency to see faces and figures in ambiguous shapes, is real and well documented. Old stone buildings breathe, they shift, they create reflections and drafts and strange acoustics that can fool modern sensors. Night vision cameras have specific artifacts. A plastic bag caught in a specific way, with specific lighting, can genuinely look like a hooded figure. A reflection from passing headlights through old glass can produce something that looks like a pressed hand. These are legitimate explanations, and yet the dog wouldn't move. There's a branch of parapsychology research taken seriously by a small but credentialed group of researchers, including those at the Perrott-Warrick Fund, which is affiliated with Cambridge, that suggests certain locations with long histories of violent or emotionally intense human activity may produce measurable environmental anomalies. Not ghosts in the Hollywood sense, more like an echo, an impression.
Something recorded in the physical environment that under specific atmospheric conditions can be misread by biological and electronic sensors alike. It's fringe, I'll be honest about that, but it's not nothing. What's particularly interesting about the locations involved, Chester, Bolsover, Goodrich, Kenilworth, is that all four have documented histories of siege, imprisonment, or execution. Chester Castle was used as a prison for centuries and was the site of multiple executions. Bolsover was a royalist stronghold that fell during the English Civil War under brutal circumstances. Goodrich saw some of the most grueling siege warfare of the same conflict. Kenilworth's history includes the imprisonment of King Edward II and events his contemporaries described as deeply traumatic. Is there a connection between sites of historical trauma and anomalous readings on modern sensors? That's a question serious researchers are actually trying to answer, and they don't have one yet. So where does that leave us with the footage? Here's my honest read. Some of it is almost certainly explainable. Weird light, weird architecture, weird cameras. The bouncing ball at Kenilworth in particular has a mechanical explanation I'd want to rule in before ruling out. Old floors settle and shift, and under temperature change, objects can move in ways that look deliberate on camera. That one doesn't keep me up at night. The hand at Bolsover keeps me up at night, because whatever it is, reflection, artifact, something else, English Heritage's own internal review couldn't account for it. And the fact that these incidents are being logged, reviewed, and then quietly buried rather than explained or debunked suggests that the people closest to this data are also not entirely sure what they're looking at. Maybe these are the mundane failures of old buildings interacting with modern sensors. Maybe the silence is just bureaucratic caution. Or maybe there's something on those recordings that nobody in an official position has figured out how to say out loud yet. I don't know, and I think that's the honest answer. If you've visited any of these sites, Chester, Bolsover, Goodrich, Kenilworth, or if you've had an experience at a historic building that you couldn't explain afterward, drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and the best ones genuinely change the way. Subscribe if you want to keep going down this road together. This is far from the last threat we're pulling on.